called her last night. We thought she was gonna fall asleep, so we and she's like, chicken nugget. We're like, that's a person in my life. How does she know that's chicken nugget? She goes, dip two. Just like that.
Good evening. This is what is today? March 6, 2025, Comprehensive Plan Committee meeting from left to right. Roll call.
Don Hernan, 33 Murphy's Way.
Peggy Stone, Clark Switch Road. Michelle Felicetti, Red Brook Drive.
Kim Rollins, 49 Brock Road.
Tom Hat Frost Road.
Dave Alves, Black Box.
Awesome. So tonight's just a night that we are going to go over some data. We finally got the full sort of Monty back from Southern Planning of the data we've been waiting for before the next steps to come. And this is the information we're going to be using in addition to Survey 1, Survey 2, and this data that Southern has collected, as well as their first packet of information they collected for us. All this information that we're going to be talking about will be available at our next two roundtables this month. Can anyone remind me of the dates? Is it this
18th and
22nd.
22nd.
18th at 6 p.m. and the 22nd at 10 a.m. and that is a
Yep.
Saturday. We are trying to make ourselves
10 p.m. or 10 a.m.?
10 8. Well, Dave, I guess it depends. No. Is it a party? No. It's 8 a.m. on Saturday in 6 p.m.
No,
Ten.
Oh, sorry. Oh my gosh, 10. So 6 p.m. on Tuesday and then 10 a.m. on Saturday.
Right.
We're trying to make ourselves available evenings and weekends the best we can. So I'm going to be sitting over there as we go through the pages to look what Michaela came up with for the final run on the sheet. And I guess I would all, like all of us, kind of have our thinking caps on, like a synopsis of what we're going to say this portion is about. And we all see some of the stuff in here. Like what do we are going to be say is like the major things we're finding from the information that was produced in all these packets to us. What is the theme? What is the thing that it's important to pass on to people that don't want to read through 54 pages of information. So kind of garnering it down a little bit, kind of what's that book called? The cheat sheet? The, not the book for dummies, but you know, what is it called? We have a shortened little version.
Abridged.
No, the something.
Comic
no.
book version.
Yeah,
Yeah, you know,
I know what you
I
mean.
got it.
Cliff Notes.
Cliff Notes,
Oh,
thank you.
There we go. Phew.
Not that I've ever used them.
No. So the Cliff Note version of all these things that would be helpful to people that just want to hear a little bit, ask questions, and then take the information home to talk about. So let me get over there so I can move things around. And I'm excited to use the new screen. We don't have to turn the lights
Yes, I
off. It's
noticed
pretty
it.
awesome.
Wow.
Oh, who did that?
The town did.
Good, finally.
Nice, huh?
I shouldn't say finally, but yeah, finally.
So the thing to connect is over here. So that's why I'm sitting over
Nice.
here. So this is just the comp plan. So we're just gonna go page, but with some of this, we're not gonna have to, the agenda, we don't, agenda is historic and archaeological resources, public facilities and services, natural resources, park, recreation, and open space, land use, and next steps. So, let me get to the next page. So these, the historic and archaeological resources we already went through, and again, it's just looking at the historic and archaeological resources, thinking about what exists here in Lyman, where is it? How do we interact with these resources, interest protections of the resources, and that's what this section is about. And as you go further on, this is where she talks about the Lyman Historical Society, which was started in 2017. And I think we all know they've been such a great asset to the town. There's some great hangings in the hallway here from Steve Lord when he's given his presentations on how Lyman was founded and our some really neat history, how Lyman got its name. It's, original Cox Hall. They do lots of things in the community to keep people abreast of the historical stuff going on. I did get an email from Evelyn saying they had watched the meeting and they were interested in helping us gather more historical figures that could go into this compilation. As we have some that were great, which are on the next page, I think. I don't know if they have anything on Native American, like I said, they want to look at all this stuff and see if there's anything they can help add to what has been given to us. But one thing that, SMPD does look at, PDC does look at is Native American history. Do we have any? And there's really no evidence in our town of that they can find. If someone out there does know differently, we always welcome hearing from you and would love that information. The one influence that does exist in our town, which is interesting enough, is Bangana is a Native American word meaning where the rocks open or always open. So that's kind of a neat little thing that is part of our town as far as Native American history. As far as historic and the European history, again, this is stuff that we have a really historic map from 1661 showing the town of Lyman and how it was divided up then. And again, Cox Hall was incorporated in 1778. That was the original name of Lyman. And in 1820 is the name changed to Lyman. There's more in all this. I'm just skimming over it real quick because we had gone over this before at our roundtable. This and all this information will be available online now that we have it in our hands. We're going to compile it a little better because they're all kind of in separate spots, especially the spreadsheets. We're going to get them printed out so people can go online and download things, but they're in a packet when they come out. So we have no documented prehistoric archaeological sites. We do have 19 documented historic archaeological sites, 11 domestic, 1 school, 2 farmsteads, 2 borrow pits, 2 cemeteries, and 1 earthen foundation. But we have no listings on the National Register of historic places. And then there's a list of gravestones. And is that corrected, Kim? Didn't we ask that? Was that one of the things that got corrected, the oldest grave, or no?
I don't think so.
So like some of the gravestones,
We
like
actually do have an older one in Chadbourne Cemetery
You do?
because of when it was established. Find a grave, most of those have been documented in the town of Lyman. Somebody from Sanford, was it?
Yeah.
Actually documented all the gravestones in the area.
oh, they did.
And you can go on findagrave.com and you can see gravestones from all over Lyman. You can even look up people's names.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. Well, maybe we could
And they're all like-
get a website dropped on this page. So
Yeah.
can someone kind of take notes anywhere?
I thought the Historical Society has that.
I don't know.
What's that?
I thought they GPSed and have the Historical Society did that also for us.
The cemetery committee?
For us, or the cemetery committee,
Yeah,
one of them.
yeah.
Normally, I think they're all GPSed and everything, because I have one in my
Oh,
yard.
you do? Oh, okay. Oh,
And-
you do? Cool.
Yeah, I've actually got 3.
Whoa.
I got 3 headstones in my front yard.
Maybe we could get like the link for.
I'm pretty
people
sure
or
they have
something to
that.
drop on here. That would be great. And then here's where we're talking about notable historic figures. And of course, Horace Cousins, Bobby Coombs, Theodore Lyman, Nathaniel M. Lowe, and Simon Chadbourne, which is where Chadbourne Field got its name. And then this is where the Historical Society is going to come in and help us. Is there anyone else that should be listed on here? One thing of note is there's no women in here. So are there any historical women figures in Lyman from back then or even
Oh,
up to?
I know some now.
I was just gonna say that Dan sure is now.
It's just a thought.
Or any that, were further along in life that we don't know about. Maybe the Historical Society knows some. So we're going to see if we can add some more characters to this list and how they have contributed to the history of our town. So then there's some key takeaways. And then it's like, how can the comp plan leverage the Historical Society as a key resource to protect Lyman's historic resources? I think that's a tough one because there really aren't any historical resources left that the town owns that I know of. There are fields and there are things that we went over, right, Kim? Of places, I think, that were in here. But it's nothing that the town owns. So maybe they would someday, who knows?
I did ask my father-in-law about that field that none of us had ever heard of, even though it said it was a hidden gem only known to the people of Lyman.
Yes?
And he did remember it and said that the Blue Angel,
Blue Angels, yeah.
yeah, They used to jump there, and people used to all go and gather in the field and watch them jump there. And so he did remember that. He said, "Oh yeah, everyone used to travel there, bring their picnics." And so he told me all about it. Told me exactly where it was, and
Oh,
so
really?
he did know of that place. I can't remember the name, and he did also remember that there was a girl from Kennebunk that was found murdered there. And it's an unsolved.
Unsolved mystery.
murder.
My husband remembered that too. That was,
Yeah.
where was that listed? Is that further down?
Yeah. So,
Any idea where she was from? Was she from Lyman or?
no, she was from Kennebunk. She was in Kennebunk High School at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mike remembers it briefly. He was old enough to remember. So then as we're looking at public facilities data, when they were asked to think about what facilities and services does Lyman offer now and where are they? What is our experience with those, sufficient, insufficient? What will likely need to be in the future that isn't currently offered? And what is currently offered that won't be needed in the future? Does what may happen align with what Lyman prefers to happen? And these are all, to me, extremely hard questions because I think these are some of the things that should go out, like people should really think about. It's like, what services do we have? The silence is probably deafening. We don't have much for services in this town besides the transfer station. We have no post office, we have no,
No police force. There's
No.
no public works department,
No.
although we get good service from our contracts, I believe.
right.
I'm
Right,
not sure we need those, but they'll all come down to money when you get down to it.
right,
That's what it comes down to.
right,
You know,
Always.
I mean,
You can have all the services you want, but it's gonna cost you.
right.
That's right.
And I think as people do want things, I think that's where Public Works Department is critical if you actually want to maintain what resources we have left.
Yeah.
To be able to keep track of it, it's, there are things that still need to be maintained now, So this is a kind of a big one where you have the survey results we're getting are saying, I want police department, I want trails, I want, more activities, but you need a department to man those things. And it's going to cost money. So this is
Well, I
a,
don't think that has to be, the thought that there might be some more public facilities and services in the future has to be, that's not gonna be, that could be a question, right? But that should not probably affect ordinances. Should it?
no, I think it would affect zoning probably,
Maybe if you're gonna save some areas for
Yeah.
possibly public
like a drugstore
facilities or
or,
something. No, I meant for public
yeah,
facilities.
for public, like if
I don't
we
see
need
where
more fire stations or we needed a larger transfer station,
that could be
salt
a
shed
fact-
needs to be
could a fact.
moved or things like that. Yeah, exactly. So
Okay.
this is where the key institutions and infrastructures are listed and tagged, which is the town offices, the elementary school, the fire and rescue, the community library, Bunganut Park, the transfer station, and Goodwin. She put Goodwin's Mill Cemetery, but we did let her know that, and that is a big confusion for many people that the town does not own.
Right.
But she did just list it as it's in the area. But that is also begged the question of, does Lyman need to have another cemetery? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that.
Well,
Because,
this one's just about full.
right. So there is no other place at the moment that I know of to get buried in Lyman. I'm not
No.
up on my cemetery.
Brad,
Chadbourne?
when Brad was here, he had talked about a piece of property someplace. I don't know if it was off Walker or someplace he was talking about, which would be a good alternative or a good place to expand for the cemetery. I forget where that was.
Yeah, that'd be nice to check.
We
Dave,
do
maybe
have
you could
space
make
in
note of that
Chadbourne.
for the land survey.
Yeah, all that is
Is in
gonna
there?
be looked into.
Excellent.
It's on the list of
Things to consider.
items to look for.
Okay, excellent.
One is it, we can go twice as big as it currently is right
Oh,
now.
really?
We have it. Yeah, we have land in the back.
Yep. So then this is our Lyman Elementary School. Well, this is Lyman Middle School and High School. These are updated numbers as the 225. My last school board meeting, we get a total every time we go in. So that is the most accurate total at the moment, as of last week for 2025. So you can kind of see the trend that has gone up or gone down. Many people, because we had this conversation at the school board level as well, seeing the downward trend in middle and high, do equate it to during COVID, a lot of people pulled their kids and didn't put them back in.
Huh.
So that's one thing. This due to either,
People with kids can't afford houses.
and that's another one too, Peg. Say it louder for the people in the back. I'm sorry. Sorry, did I say that? out
Well, that's
loud?
probably true.
It's definitely true.
It is true, and it's a sad
I don't know what
reality.
we do about that.
Well,
They just came out with a report. It's a statewide problem.
it
It
is.
It's a New
It
England
is.
problem.
So, with all the jumping up and down every time somebody wants to do something, and they say, you know,
For that.
too many kids. Well, this data shows that, you know, that
We're losing
it's
kids.
dropping.
Mhm.
So
Because- yep.
where are they getting their information that,
They're
you
not
know,
getting
we need
information.
new schools, and not that we're not gonna need new
Right.
schools, but, you know, bigger and more and hiring, and, you know, where does that come from?
I don't know. I think the reality is what they don't realize is when they're talking about size of school for any of the schools in the district, it's what was acceptable, and Kim, you can correct me if I'm wrong, what was acceptable for a footprint for a certain size class for education is no longer the same now, so that you need a bigger footprint or there has to be different,
Well, the state has changed some of their guidelines,
Correct.
particularly for grades pre-K through 2.
Right.
So that footprint is now smaller by state guidelines. I mean, and then in the trend, particularly for schools like Lyman and Shapley, their trend is actually going up. So, I mean, I know you see 12, but 12 is almost,
a
you
classroom.
know, is getting close to a full class.
Right.
So then when you talk about a full class and there's not a room for that,
Hmm.
that means something.
I'm
And
sorry.
then also, whether it's a impact of COVID, whether it's an impact of two working parents, whether it's an impact of stress factors, not really sure, but our special ed population,
Yeah,
if that was
it's
really
exploded.
listed on here, I know that would be a plus.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
so
what
that
population?
requires more classrooms and
I'm
more
sorry.
staff.
You say you're-
Special ed,
special ed.
particularly behavior.
They're realizing, like, for instance, my son started school in kindergarten with a mask on his face. And the data that's coming out on his class and the class behind him, which were the biggest impacted, is they're on the struggle bus.
The
So,
social,
Majority of those kids, social wise, it's that you can't explain the impact.
they missed all those early year experiences
cues.
of playing with peers, interacting with peers,
So there's a lot of behavioral problems.
you know,
on a high level.
appropriateness with peers. Many of them were schooled at home looking at a screen.
So,
Well, you can't change that.
No.
I mean, you can't change those past
Right, but it
activities
impacts, you know,
right.
going
when they
forward.
can clear a whole classroom of
Yep.
students out.
So how many are in a class now? You said, I think you say,
Anywhere from you have classrooms of 13 all the way to 28.
oh, wow. 20 is
It
big.
depends on, you know, and every school is different because you can only divide kids so many different
Right.
ways without them shifting them into another town. Which then that becomes.
Right.
An issue.
an
Lyman
issue.
currently has one classroom that's K and one together because there's no room.
Right,
but-
Lyman does have the biggest classrooms. I
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
testify to that across the district for
Mhm.
K1,
Hmm.
definitely K and 1.
Yeah.
Lyman will definitely surpass Lyme next year as
Yeah.
far as numbers. They are losing. Lyme is passing on more fifth graders to sixth
Yeah.
grade than Lyman is. And Lyman has full pre-Ks, but
Yeah.
Lyme is not.
Hmm.
I understand that right now, I think that, is it Waterboro is the only one that is now, everybody else is looking at, I think pre-Ks will be full for next year. I
Yes.
think there's waiting lists
Yeah,
already.
there was. Yeah.
Which will be the first time in 3 years that pre-Ks have been full.
Mhm.
So now that trend is moving back again.
Well, and also of note, the thing that people talk about the schools is Lyman Elementary has been, according to data, out of space since 1999. it was ranked too small in 1999. So we've gone this far with the same size school. So people have to have that real, when you hear that schools are tight on space, it's been tight on space since 1999. And somehow they're still doing it, so the sky is not falling. We're not being, it's not that big of a trend from 2018 to 25, the amount of kids. And that's what bringing pre-K on. Pre-K wasn't, and that's what's interesting. Pre-K wasn't around before 2018. So when you look at that number and you look at the impact, it's really not that high.
But remember, at one time we had 6th grade there.
Yeah. Then I don't remember what year that shifted.
Anyway,
And my
But-
kids were there for 6th grade, so.
That's Lyman. So, yes, I think in any town you're going to find the schools are also old that, this was
water
interesting.
issues and
This was interesting was the dispatch analysis, Don. Did you like the answer that we got from the head?
yeah,
So
it makes more sense.
it made no sense to look at this. Oh, I can make it bigger. Sorry, guys. So we had looked at this and wondered how the heck the numbers varied so drastically
Right.
between 2022 and 2023 for like motor vehicle complaints and motor vehicle stops. And then you get down, you're going from over to all reasons. You get 2022 is 358 and 2023 is 2026. So how the heck do you make that jump? So we were able, see if she put it on here. Yes, she did.
It gives the explanation.
Yeah, so we have a good explanation that, because we weren't understanding that when she presented that, welfare checks, there was, 1 in 2022, and then there's 47 in 2023. So dispatch analysis can indicate what Lyman's emergency response needs typically are. The largest number of calls was for motor vehicles. Of note was that the huge difference in call numbers between 2022 and 23 and 24 is state police covered the town and then the sheriff's office covered. And when state police pull over vehicles, they do not have to report those stops to dispatch. They only generate an incident number if they make an arrest, tow, or write a ticket. So their data wasn't collected like the sheriff's department was, which is the reason for the big variation you're going to see on that sheet. So that was added in.
Well, I think the good news out of this data is that as far as, let's call it significant crimes or potential crimes, whatever you want to call it, like burglary, assault, drug incidents, they're all pretty low. And I mean, you got some, of course, motor vehicle stuff, but I think that happens.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not really, the data is I'd say the data is pretty favorable for us,
Michelle?
for the town.
Where does that 2026 number come from?
That's the number of calls.
It's a total.
Total number.
Total.
That's
Yeah,
a
the
lot,
numbers don't add up.
633.
Oh, that
Oh,
one,
they
that's
don't?
crazy. You're right.
That doesn't add up at
Well, she's
all.
going to have to, I didn't do the adding.
That's 633.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
I'm like, I was
Yeah,
like,
none of the numbers add up.
Yeah, I think
so.
There's a category left out somewhere. or
Maybe
something.
that's what it is.
That's what I'm
Maybe she
wondering
just
is-
Highlighted big,
Oh, maybe
big
she
areas.
maybe she did the totals, but she didn't list them all, is what I'm thinking what happened. We
something.
can ask her
Oh,
about that.
oh,
though.
okay, yeah, because that
There's
doesn't,
probably more categories, but she's giving all reasons, and there's not a list of all reasons to put for police presence listed on this list.
But that'd be a good question, because that means there's a lot of checks that aren't shown.
I mean,
Like you
if,
pointed out.
I'm sure
Yeah.
it'd be a couple pages long if it was to list all incidents that they're
Well,
called
I'll
for.
put a note in there or something.
But we could ask that. If someone wants to make a note, we can ask her, is there a way to get a complete list? May as well be complete, right?
well,
And why were these chosen, like?
Yes,
Mm.
yes. I think
this
that's a
handout
good-
is different than that, so.
Yeah.
this-
It seems like the Gen Zers age.
Hey, whoa.
Quiet in the box.
And that's why you're in a box.
Holy cow,
So,
Okay,
Don,
so-
Don, you wrote that one down?
okay, I'm making page 14.
Okay. So that one, thank you, Tom, for pointing that out. The next one sheet's going to be hard to see. Oops, keep going up on this one. Oh, my ever loving Michelle.
Oh, you can't read.
There we go.
The next one's going to be hard to read on the screen.
Yeah.
This is public facilities and services. This was interesting because Lyman doesn't have a heck of a lot. Most of it's
Yeah.
local or statewide or larger. Like we have, like finally we do have a general assistance program. Yes, first column. But then, we don't have a food pantry. We don't have senior citizens resources. We don't have a homeless shelter. We don't have, so there's local areas that have these things. Adult education, we have it, but as we know, they can't get it in our town because we don't have a place for them to hold stuff for adult education. They want to get in our town. They're in all the other towns but ours because we don't have a place for them. We don't have a clothing place in town for people to get clothing. So this is just a really big list of all the different services that are out there, showing what Lyman does have. Is there legal assistance? It's a nice list, but unfortunately we don't have those.
Well, even local area is fairly small.
Yes, it is. Statewide, of course, is larger.
Interesting.
So this is what, this was sent to us to be able to look at the gaps in services that our town has, and would any of these be beneficial to our town down the road as we grow, keeping maybe, our elders in place, or, our town does not have an after-school program for children in our town through the school. Our children are shipped to Alfred.
Oh, really?
Yes. So they're brought to Alfred back to Alfred, and they're picked up and brought from Alfred to Lyman in the morning. We don't have an after-school care at the elementary school like a lot of them do. So you have to find private care.
But who pays for that?
Well, people do pay for it through the Y, but the Y doesn't offer it at our school. I think they
How
have
come
parents.
how come veterans isn't checked?
for what?
We don't have any.
Because we don't have any
Veterans,
we don't have any
that's not being
services for
elders.
them. We have no services for them, Dave,
Within the town.
within the town. So if it's not checked off, we don't offer that service. Although we do have,
Gotcha.
see, Animal Welfare Society, that's hard because we do team with animal welfare. So should that be checked off? There's things like that, but like at-home family support, we don't have that. Catholic Charities, Independent Support Services, we don't have them. We don't have a chapter here. The Dempsey Center, we don't have.
Well,
Yeah.
But
So, it depends on the size of the town. Some of these will never be anything that our town would need, but then some of them, might be. Like we do have Meals on Wheels, so but it's local area. They do come to our town, but we don't have one here. It's like she lists there's notes beneath each of these sections, like some service areas with fewer identified organizations or referrals,
Yeah.
refugees, immigrant services, veteran services, child care and family services, and transportation services. So on to the next page. So key takeaways. Again, there's key takeaways to all sections we go through. Considering our size and rural character, we have good access to key in-town facilities like nearby places. The crime rate is low, which is wonderful. Welfare checks are increasing, which is a sign that it may continue due to our aging population. And the key question is, what facilities are not present in Lyman now that may be of importance in the future? And where should those facilities go? Where could a new partnership occur? And those are all really hard questions. I'm just saying. Then natural resources data they got into. What is happening now? What's the quality and quantity of nature here, natural resources? What may happen? Does what may happen align with what Lyman prefers to happen? And I think we can definitely say from the few surveys we have gotten, people want nature, they want fields, they want trails, they want trees.
Mhm.
Um,
They want status quo
uh-huh.
to some extent.
So then this is where we have the natural forestry she has in here, and land temperatures, which was interesting. I don't remember seeing that chart, so I think that one's new. Do you guys remember seeing
What
that?
is this chart?
This is the land temperature,
Um,
the
Oh,
annual
I don't remember
temperature
seeing
for
that.
2021,
I didn't.
Doesn't tell you going up, right?
Yep. going up.
What was it? I just heard a statistic that the waters in the Gulf of Maine have warmed faster than 99% of the waters in the world.
Really?
Well,
They don't know why. They're trying to figure out why.
Yeah.
The water's in.
Oh,
In-
sure.
in the
Gulf of
Gulf.
Maine.
Coming up.
Well, it could be the Gulf Stream. I mean, the Gulf
The-
Stream's coming up.
They're saying we're losing the lobsters because
Mm.
the waters are too.
Well, they're going to Canada. We won't be able to get those anyway.
Nope.
So then we have our flood zones. So here it's listed whether we are a high risk, moderate, or low risk, and that's mapped out on here, which is great. So if anyone wants to know if they're in the zone, give this a look. Next page, natural resources. And again, we are pond heavy, which is cool. So this lists all our water bodies and whether the acres, the perimeter, the mean depth, the max depth, fish type, and public access, yes or no. I still want to point one out, but I won't.
Wadley?
No.
Wadley is spelled
Starts with
wrong,
an F.
correct?
was what?
Isn't it
Pond.
EIG?
What about?
It's EIGH, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Well, and that's like,
Wadley Pond.
what was
I
the
don't know.
other one?
It's,
She said that some of them had like a couple
Oh,
of
Wadley.
names.
Yeah.
Wadley's misspelled.
yeah.
Yep. So if you want to circle that, Nick, Dawn. Thank you. So this list, basically, we have 1, 2, 3 ponds that have public access, just so everyone listening can hear that. Bunganut, Kennybunk, and I don't even know where Tar Water Pond is.
Never
Our
heard of it.
water is, behind me.
Is it?
Mhm.
Yep. And apparently there's public access there. So those are,
What is, wait, what?
I thought Round Pond had public
There's
access.
no public access. Water.
There's not? So that need to be changed. Doesn't Round Pond have public access?
Says from the west
Round
as
Pond
it is
is fish and
abuts
game, so
public
it's
land.
Yeah, so that needs to be changed. So Dawn, you want to circle?
Tar water is surrounded by Massabesic forestry.
And so
But-
that's what she says makes it public access.
That would,
That's how
That
she
doesn't
words it
sound
in the
right.
bottom.
it's probably
part.
carry in, carry out.
You can carry in and carry out. That's true.
Yeah, she says from the west as it is abuts public land, the Massabesic experimental forest.
Yep. But there's no official
It's
trails, let alone roads.
It's gated.
You'd have to just walk into it with your fishing pole.
But what are the
Interesting.
rules?
But it
of
isn't even saying there's
Massabesic
any,
experimental forest?
I didn't.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the rules of that
Mm.
forest are. Like,
So when they write this chapter, they're also going to say how each of these water bodies are fed. So that will be part of the
Mhm.
thing as well. So there is still more data coming for all of this. This is again why I hope people listening realize why it's crucial that Southern Maine Planning is helping us with this, because I don't know about you, but I don't have time to find out what feeds what water
This is
body.
awesome.
Okay, part 4 of significant aquifers. It just lists some stuff more about water around here.
Yeah, Wadley
Um,
Pond's misspelled there too also.
Yep, like I said, do your nits, Dawn. We'll send it back to Michaela to be fixed. So all wells derived from water are aquifers. And just so everyone knows, our town is actually very heavy with aquifers. I was able to look some of that up myself before we got into this. So that's one thing that's being looked at for plans to keep it safe.
What is all that, oh my God, what is that?
What?
The website you gave us there?
Yeah, you can just go to
Yep,
the
you can go to the
blue part
website.
of that.
Yep.
Not type the whole thing.
No, just hit the little blue part and you can go right to
Why,
the.
I wasn't planning on typing the whole thing. I don't think I could.
Wadley's-
Get it right.
Wildly spelled wrong in that paragraph down there too. So she
So I will
basically
say
just,
in her defense online, they call it Roberts dash Wadley Pond, but an L-E-Y, and that's how it's mapped out on Google Maps.
Oh, really?
Maybe,
Yeah.
maybe our misspelling is wrong.
It
And the
could be.
road is L-E-I-G-H.
Yeah, that's
Wadley
what I
Pond
would,
Road.
that's what I was assuming is correct.
But the
maybe-
pond is Roberts dash Wadley Pond. So
No.
It's
interestingly enough.
always been treated kind of as two different ponds.
What's the question then, I guess?
And it is. It's Wadley Pond and Roberts Wadley Pond. They actually listed as two places on Google Maps.
Who says Google Maps is right?
Probably only us, and
Yeah.
not Mexico right now.
It's not
Who
getting into that.
It just looks like a
Is it
little
still the Gulf of
cove.
Maine or what?
Yeah.
Maybe the
No,
Gulf
it
of-
actually just
It might
looks
be
a
the Gulf
little
of Canada
cove.
soon, you never know. But anyway, it's good.
Like a cove is Roberts Wadley Pond,
Yeah,
like a cove.
Mhm.
question.
Yeah,
Interesting.
Funny.
So here she's talking about, she wants us to refer to the explanation up above, which is talking about the watersheds with Kennebunk Pond and Swan Pond and Bunganut. And again, where places, the priority watersheds that we have. The Kennebunk River estuary is the only one that's considered impaired. The other ones are all priority threatened. These are, again, all things that we have to kind of look as we're planning anything that potentially could happen in town. There's a map with some things mapped out on it. These next three maps show public water supplies and their recharge and bedrock protection areas. They also note potential pollutants such as VOC, volatile organic compounds, bacteria, inorganics, and pesticides. So they're kind of near Oakwood Mobile Park, are two of them. And then the next map,
Oh, okay.
see the bacteria, which is off a new road. And then you have VOC, which is near Davis and down below, off of Davis Road, down towards the bottom.
Do they give the sources? I don't have that on this packet.
No, this is all new. We just got this. They don't, I don't know if they list the source of what the stuff is. And then what's that top one? Inorganics is at the top, upper right. I don't know if everyone sees that. Let me go up a little bit. So where I'm circling.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So that's inorganics there as well. So these are things just to take note as, as we are looking to try to save a water source for town. And then agricultural statistics, number of farms in 2002 was 685, 2022 was 689.
Oh, that's
can I
why.
ask just a question? That Oakwood,
Yes.
that's not part of the zoning right now, is it? I don't think so.
No.
Because it's two overlay districts, and that's
Yeah,
not in,
and
that's
that's
a
not
separate.
one of them.
Is that,
Right.
is that still, does that exist? I mean, is it existing now?
The park?
Yeah.
Do you have
Oh,
any more
yeah.
of these? This is all
Okay.
messed
I'm
up.
not familiar with it. All right,
Yeah.
thank you.
I went from 10.
That's the, maybe got stapled down, there's one right here.
Okay. Never mind. I'll get it online. It's,
This is the old one. It doesn't have all the stuff in it that this
No.
one does.
it went from page 9 to page 24. So that's why I missed. I'm like, woo,
Oh, yeah, it did.
Something missing.
there's something missing here.
Oh, you know what? Then 11's over here.
Yeah.
So I think that maybe that page is just out of wackadoodle. Oh, and 15, the way it got printed. So you're gonna have to be a jumping jack. I think.
Yeah, whatever. Don't worry about it.
Okay. So this one here is sizes of farms, and we did talk about this last time at the
Yeah,
roundtable, that the farms don't seem to have gone down, but what has happened is they've shrunk in size. So they've gone from maybe doing produce to mainly hay farms left and things like that. So that's kind of basically, I think, what we learned from the talk about that, and the average size of the farm has gone down.
Is there something below that?
Yes, there is.
Is there a definition of
Oops.
the word? Because I mean,
what word?
farm,
Oh, farm, oh,
I mean, that's a pretty broad term. If
Yes.
you're putting food on your table from your farm, from money that you made from farming your farm. If you buy a couple chickens, you're not a farm.
Right.
So
That's good.
where is the distinguish?
So
you
maybe
know?
that's in something to write down to ask her for a definition of farm. So it's very specific what we're talking about. I mean, I think she was talking about people that that's what they do for a living, like that's what they're living, and that's
Exactly.
the
If you're
definition
putting
of.
food on your table
Correct.
from the resource of
From the
that.
resource of the hay they're growing, or the wheat, or the whatever they're growing.
I'm growing
That's my
weeds.
understanding from what she was saying, is that that's what it meant. But we can definitely make sure we clarify
Because
that.
that seems like a very big number to me.
Yeah,
Very
Okay.
big. Don't you, Kim?
Yeah,
does.
that's a huge number.
A huge
I know
number.
nothing.
It seems very,
Hmm.
So then we go on to, and that's, I mean, definitely, maybe she can parse out more what those farms are, Peg, you know, and,
It's a hell big
hella big.
yeah, so yeah, that's a good one to check up on. So then we talked about the soil suitability in our town, and we have caca soil in town, I think most of us, to put it bluntly, I think
Lot
most
of
of us know. You can't dig without hitting
Yeah.
something round and hard.
We grow a new batch every year.
Yes, they're fresh.
New batch rocks.
So that was one of the things that was kind of like a bummer in our town, that we are very rock heavy, nothing we can do about it.
That's for sure.
So as you look at the little thing here, it is showing that,
We have beautiful rock walls.
we do,
We do.
and when someone misbehaves, they help me grow my rock wall. Just
Mhm.
saying. So, yeah, so that was interesting that we do have, unfortunately, we don't have the greatest soil. So what she talked about here was, we're low or very low in terms of suitability for development. So
Hmm.
that's where, the many areas that are suitable for development are also areas prime agricultural soils. So we have to consider if when
Oh.
prime soils should be prioritized for farming, and if when high suitable soils should be prioritized for development. There's trade-offs with each of those things.
Mhm.
And that is a loaded question right there, my friends.
It is,
Oh, boy.
absolutely.
Because, food sourcing is also a problem in our state as
And I
well. You
bet
wouldn't
we
think it
get
is, but it is,
50-50 on it.
Yeah.
Half the people feel one way and the other half feel the opposite.
I
I don't
know.
think, well, the bottom line is people don't like to be told what they can do with their land.
right?
Bottom
I
line.
Hey,
think-
hey, Michelle,
Yes.
with all the data that they're putting in, will this eventually be able to be overlaid on all the, on our computers, on our, when we receive a new map that the town votes on and the whole bit and we're computerized?
Yeah.
Will we be able to have this data overlaid?
My
Or
understanding.
you click a button and boom, it's on the screen?
My understanding is
Will we be able
yeah.
to have that?
Yes, my understanding is yes.
Awesome.
They're gonna produce that? So
Well,
they
it's online. It can be downloaded, because even when you go in there, it says you want to overlay it, but we don't have we might not have a crayon map anymore, but we don't have a
Right.
we don't have a
Well,
digital.
Once that's established.
Yes. Yeah, because when you go into that portal, you can overlay this on maps, but we don't have anything to overlay it on. So that is our problem. Next comes is natural resources and forestry and agriculture.
I was gonna say, she just pulls the information for the farms from the USDA report. I can pull it right up here online, everything that she has
Yeah.
there. I'm gonna go work for her. All that data is right there that's on our report.
Yeah.
So it's just from a census report on York County.
But it still doesn't drill down and say.
It does drill down a little bit, because it does talk about, like in this report, like percent of farms that have are organic, self-directed consumers, higher farm labor, or family farms, and then they do other
Oh, so it's
characteristics.
not just farms that
Right, they do
actually
forage, sod, vegetables,
taxes.
corn, apples,
I
then they
guess you
do
could say.
livestock inventory, like this goes down even deeper when you look at the whole report,
Yeah.
that data came from. I can
Yeah.
look up the same
That's why
number,
the number is so
689.
high. That's why.
Yeah.
All
And
right.
acreage and everything.
That's interesting. So now we have habitat significant categories. So we have lots of aquatic species and habitats, and again, significant vernal pools. They're all listed on the map here as well as we're looking at things. And you can see, like, endangered, we do have some endangered, endangered threatened species of concern and habitat, which are on the purple. The green are rare exemplary natural ecosystems that we have. The red is significant vernal pools. You can see a few of them there they're down here on the corner. The colors aren't, I gotta mess with the colors on that map a little better. The overhead projector, something I'm still learning myself. But anyways, these will be easier to see when you have these packets online. And then that's where she talks about, that includes what we have here. Of note, 7 areas are marked as habitat for rare, endangered, or threatened species for concern. And they'll be writing more on that chapter.
But it says at the bottom too, they'll map farms.
Yeah, those will be on there as well. So Peg, that will be a really good question to definitely clarify. What is a farm? And then she actually lists pictures of some of I need to find that moth. Sorry. She lists some of the natural resources that are endangered in our town that we have here. So it'd be kind of neat to see those. So we have 2 endangered insects, the ringed bog hunter and the Hessel's hair streak.
What's that snake?
Let's see, the eastern ribbon snake.
Can you push it up on
If I find that, it'll be endangered if it's in.
Yeah.
the
Make it a little bigger for you.
ribbon snake? Is that what?
Ribbon
Yeah,
snake right
but
there,
east-
yeah.
Oh,
Eastern ribbon snake, at least it's supposedly not poisonous.
interesting.
Yeah, who knew, right? I didn't.
Oh
Did
yeah,
you?
I'd scream like a 2-year-old.
Yeah,
like snakes.
there might be fainting involved.
Yeah, I know.
But that moth is really pretty.
Yeah.
See that? Check that bad boy out.
Right.
Although I would
Yeah.
scream if it landed on me, I have to be honest. All right.
For some reason, I can picture you, when you finally retire, buying a nice pair of binoculars and going out and finding special butterflies like the one on this picture.
Is he talking to me?
Yeah.
Who?
I can see
I have
that.
binoculars, but the chances of me looking at for moths are between slim and none, and slim's in Texas. No, I don't know. I mean, yeah, some of this stuff is interesting, but I swear that, I don't know how, let me put this nicely, how relevant it is to our overall the comprehensive plan in my mind is what's gonna lead us to what I'm interested in primarily, of course, the changes in zoning. And so but there's a term which, I've used in the past, baffle them with BS. And I'm not saying this is all factual. I'm not criticizing Southern Maine, but I'm just saying there's an awful lot of data here.
Well,
It is,
Yeah,
but I think that.
But it is with the overlays, if we got it to the point where you can just keep putting overlays.
Yeah.
It really is important, especially if you're gonna change,
Well, when you have people that are really
The
concerned about,
zones.
yeah.
where to put the zones. You don't wanna put,
Well-
commercial if it's agricultural rich soils.
No, I agree with that.
I think-
And for us to know where that is,
Right.
I think it's huge.
Or where endangered species are. That's important to a lot of people.
Well, it's huge, but I think that it is all, we're talking about zones and stuff like
Right.
that. That's ORC stuff. That's how I feel anyway.
Yeah.
That's ORC stuff.
Oh, yeah.
We're worried about the future land use map.
Right.
That's what we're trying to get.
Mhm.
And it got nothing to do with zones. We'll let them worry about zones later. But in order to do this future land use map, we have to know this stuff. We have to know where our water resources
Okay.
are, our aquifers, so on and so forth.
Agreed, yes.
Right.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with Don a little bit though, because I do feel, and I know that we're paying somebody else to do the work, but when I can easily find the same information, I wish there had been a
No, we did,
little bit of task handed to
but that
us.
was before you.
I know.
We
No,
had
I
this
mean-
information.
Yeah.
We're paying them to smooth it and do this for
See, I
us.
think it's the compilation. And
Yes.
hopefully they'll put it in
Exactly.
some form that is, I'm not,
Yes.
that's logical, that
Yeah.
leads you towards, for the ORC to work on the ordinances. So but also I hope that they would work on the ordinances too. That would be my thought.
I would hope to have some.
because that way you'll get an outside look at the whole thing, but
Yeah,
I know
I
you
just
gotta
mean
do
some
this
of the
data, but
legwork
there's so
for
much
some of the
data
basic
here, you
things,
easily
like I
get
could have given them a list
I don't
of
wanna
all of the
labor
elderly people, or the graves and all, like, I feel like some of the legwork stuff, like, I feel
Well,
like
but
maybe,
we
but
had-
it's done, so I'm not gonna harp on it, but
But that was done before, I think before you even came onto the committee, we were given that data from the state.
Uh-huh.
And did you ever get the link? Have you ever
yeah,
seen that link?
did you ever see the 2 books I put together?
It is obscene, there's.
But I mean, I started to go through those books and put it together, and then we were told that we were moving, that they had to do the whole thing.
Yeah.
And we couldn't do parts of it. So it's just, I know how Southern Maine works, and I'm fine with that. It's just hard when I can easily pull up the same data, and I could put it in that table.
Right,
And
but
then
it-
they could do, they're better at knowing historical stuff from other towns and seeing how that all fits together. Like, that's not my expertise.
Mhm.
well, I think
But I
they're
feel like some
also
of the
on the
legwork
pulse.
stuff we could have done, but I realized that they like to do it all. So, just a
Yeah,
comment.
I do feel like they're on the pulse of like what is happening currently in our state too, to hopefully keep us from doing a full pause we go.
Right.
Which would be harder for us to be on top of. The one thing that was really interesting on the next slide we're on that she talked about, which again is something that I hope, well, what was interesting, she said, is that really for a town to be rural, it had to be 70% undeveloped. And what
Hmm.
we are actually at 56% undeveloped. So we've already surpassed the rural. So people wanting to keep it a rural small town, we already blew past that landmark. As you're looking at this, and I don't know if she finally has the key on there. So when you're looking at that, the mustard is developed, the dark green is conserved, and green is undeveloped. So that's kind of what our town, so we have 11 conserved areas. And 7.7% of our land is in conservation. So we have 1,994 conserved acres total. But like I said, we're already past that point of keeping it rural and it's not like the 2%, it's a jump. It's not,
Mhm.
it's not.
Well, but how do you conserve land?
Well, they're in conservation, is what it is.
Right, but I mean, that's not free, is it?
No, that means that you take your land and you give it to the public domain,
Yes.
and thank you very much for your service.
Mhm.
Wow.
Like Newfield has a 6,000 acre game preserve that was gifted to them that can never be developed, but it doesn't pay taxes either. So good luck with that one.
But I mean, I can't see the town going out and buying land to conserve it particularly.
No,
Because
no,
So-
it's usually donated.
Yeah, I can see the donation part of it, but I don't see the rest of it.
She
I'm
gives
not
us,
sure my point is, what can you do about it? You
well, this
know?
is, she gives us some good information here. Kennebunk has conserved 2.4% of its total lands, and only 8.5% of lands are vacant or undeveloped. So they've already conserved a good amount of land, but it doesn't have much land left it can conserve.
Mhm.
Berwick has conserved 1,600, I'm just rounding, acres or
Right.
7.5% of its total lands. Among 18 areas, 67% of Berwick lands are undeveloped. So Berwick has conserved 11% of its undeveloped lands. So again, it's something just to keep in mind is we're looking at our land use, what are we gonna do? And I don't remember seeing this one.
And
Anybody?
didn't she say something about we were unique in our town with conserved land, that we actually do have town-owned, federal-owned, state-owned?
I think she might have said that.
Yeah.
This is
like
interesting. This is
Conservation land.
Forest.
Some kind of weird map of
Yeah.
our town. I'm gonna have to see this one up,
Well,
not on here, printed out. Cause I'm seeing the ponds. I'm going to look at the legends to see what she says. So this one, she's saying, this map, as well as the 3 maps on the following 3 slides, are from the State of Maine's Beginner Habitat Program. They're best explored on the interactive webpage, and there's a link to do that. It shows undeveloped habitat blocks, conserved lands, and habitat connectors or potential connections to link undeveloped lands together with safe wildlife crossings. So that's kind of nifty.
this is so confusing that only they can do it.
Yep.
Yeah.
This is again where you're seeing the same thing. They're showing
Oh
some
my
more
God, look at
legends
this.
here. in more pictures. The roads are large barriers for streams, for both natural water flow and for aquatic life. This map shows road stream crossings, whether barriers exist or not.
It's good data, but
Yep, and same thing here, more data. Just shows high value plant and animal habitat. Oh, geez, there's another one. Co-occurrence means natural resources, so shows some of our, shows a heat map of the most important natural areas in Lyman. That's kind of cool. Again, this is stuff that like, it's just, you have, the legend's so small, you're gonna have to go online to check that stuff out, because it is really difficult to see on the screen right now, and what everything means. So again, to everyone listening, this data is all going to be available as soon as we can get everything kind of aligned online. There's a lot more than what she gave us. Holy cow. Next page. So key takeaways. There are more farms now than 20 years ago, but they're smaller. And Peg, this is where she talked about the farms on here.
Yep.
Our 8 large ponds are mixtures of warm and cold. So she's just kind of doing that, summarizing everything we just went over.
Can I just make a comment on that?
Yep.
20 years ago, but farms are smaller. Could that be because of technology, you think?
could be.
I don't know.
Among other things, but, you know, a farmer doesn't need as much land as he used to
Right.
because of technology. I'm just throwing it out there, I'm just not sure.
They
Or
get-
you don't
make
have
more
the time
production
to
from
work
a
the amount
smaller.
of land because you have to
smaller
work
land.
a regular job.
Yeah.
Well, global warming.
Yep.
I mean, global warming has a lot to do with how much farming is being done right now. I mean, you can't fight with Mother Nature. You can't get on the fields till they're dry,
Yeah.
and they're never dry.
And you
can't
got
fight
crappy
with
soil.
that.
Yeah.
And they're building houses for their families on there.
Yes.
Well, that's
Look at-
happening too, yeah, they're having to carve off parcels to put family homes on, you're
Yeah.
right. So then there's just some key questions about what are we gonna do in our town, you know, how do we keep the natural resources influencing our residents' quality of life? What happens to the look and feel of Lyman as we develop? Which undeveloped areas would be most important to become conserved open space areas? I think a lot of her key questions are things that we should be looking at towards our next survey of when we have roundtables. Maybe have those printed out so people understand these are the things we're asking ourselves and want input on, because what do we do? I don't know. There's a heck of a lot of questions. Parks and recreation, as we look at parks, recreation, and open space data, think about what is happening now, what is Lyman's experience with quality of its recreation opportunities, with its open spaces and parks, what might happen in the future, does what may happen align with what Lyman prefers to happen? That same question seems to repeat itself a lot, so I think that's one we should remember. So we talk about Bunganuck Park and Field. I let her know that Bunganuck Lake Camping Ground is private, doesn't belong to us. Was this that Gracie Evans Field?
Yes. that
Okay,
was that field.
That's the one where the Blue Angels jumped and where the body was found.
Yeah.
So I never knew Gracie Evans Field existed in our town.
I don't know, the Blue Angels don't usually jump.
Oh, it's not the Blue Angels.
Oh,
That's
then
right.
who are they? The,
All right.
I mean, if the Blue Angels are jumping, there's a problem with their aircraft.
Yeah, I was gonna say, they're
Who are
ejecting,
the jumpers?
they're
they
ejecting.
may be
Yes.
crashing, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Must be another, must be another group.
So we have Kennybunk Pond Beach, Massabesic Experimental Forest, Sid Emery, Bradford Memorial Tract, which is private, and Black Kettle Farm, which is actually changing to
Thunderbirds.
the Thunderbirds. There you go.
Thunderbirds.
The Black Kettle Farm is Crows. Is that what's the new name of that farm? Do you guys know?
Which one?
Black Kettle Farm. It's the working farm by Hamilton Road. The new owner just bought it. It's changing names, so that'll have a different name. I don't know if it was always called Black Kettle, but it does have a different. And John the Knit, they put the Massabesic Experimental Forest. If you could snag that one.
I thought they were gonna take Gracie Evans Field up.
No, they didn't. I don't know if we asked her to. I think we were just all shocked. We never heard about it. So then major conservation showing on here is Kennybunk Land Trust, Francis Small Heritage Trust, U.S. Forest Service, York County Soil and Water Conservation, Town of Lyman, Maine Department of Inland Fisheries and Wildlife. They're all marked on our map. So nonprofit, local, regional, state, and federal agencies all own land in Lyman, and that's what she's listing on this page. I didn't know that either. So then she lists about Bunganup Park and this, what we have there. I think we all know that's on popping over there. It shows what the places that use the fields over there are listed. Then they're showing the opportunities that the school offers for sports and other activities are listed on
Page
here.
40, I think you got a misspelling.
40?
Yeah. Is that Massabesic United Soccer Club?
It should be United. What's it say?
Unite.
It's
Oh,
almost
yeah,
that.
should you be United? Yeah. This is basically just about the schools and the sports that are available and other things, activities, theater, music, culture clubs at the high school, Parks and Rec again. There's Massachusetts Little League showing who it serves, the ages. So I think she just lists these out
This
again,
is
just
different.
larger. It's
This
just
is-
I'm sorry, it's just eating at page spaces, guys. Sorry. Parks are, they're talking about community library and what happens there. And what programs they have there. And then other recreation, we have concerts in the parks, snowshoeing, cross-country skiing. I don't think they did that this year. Did
Oh,
they?
snowshoeing?
Yeah.
I don't know.
They don't think they did that this year, but they did the skating rink. So I don't know if we want to leave that there or not, Don. You want to just put a question mark next to it, I guess?
Sure.
I don't know if Parks and Rec plans on bringing that back or not.
You mean the snowshoeing?
Yeah, takeaways. We have many recreational opportunities and shared among neighboring communities. Bunganup Park is a critical park in recreational. Should it be recreational resource? Recreation resource? Either way. Which undeveloped areas will be most important to become conserved? So again, the questions of what do we do? What recreation opportunities are desired but not offered? Dance, adult sports leagues. Maybe they want a wiffle ball league. I don't know. Do people want pickleball? Do they want basketball courts? Do they want, but again, things cost money if they want them.
And we did have a question in our survey that we asked those types of things. So,
So then just land use, how is it distributed? Just questions about the land use. Again, these will be things to put it in a survey down the road. So this is where it lists our land use. We have commercial and residential. That's one use. Mobile home overlay, residential, and general purpose. So it shows that 1,350 acres are in commercial residential, 502 acres are in mobile home, 4,460 acres are in residential, and 19,573 are in general purpose. And it just shows the unit densities, and there's the map showing what is in our town for zones right now. We did ask what towns nearest had for zones and acreage. And I think Kim was kind enough, hopefully she put it in here, gave us a list of the zones in neighboring towns, but we do have acres and size by town and how many zones those other towns have. Like Arundel has 15,000 acres and 10 zones. Waterboro, 26,000 acres, 7 zones. Alfred, 17,000, they have 14 zones. Kennebunk has 28,000, 18 zones. Dayton has 11,000, 6 zones, and Hollis has 21,000 and 7 zones.
I tell you, I looked up Waterboro 4 times because I couldn't believe we were almost the same size acreage-wise as Waterboro. I was just like in complete shock.
Yeah.
That is a little surprising.
I looked it up like
Yep.
4
I don't-
different ways. Like,
Yeah,
was
I
like,
don't see that she listed it so far, Kim, so maybe we could put a note on there, Dawn, the other zones from the other towns.
Dave Riley.
Yeah. So, Dawn, if you could put
On which page?
under the zones for, we're showing the zones.
Page showing the zones, you mean, okay.
Picking up trash.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah.
Question what?
So Kim had given us a list of all the zones in the local towns nearby. I don't see it yet. It could be on here, but I'm not seeing it. So I wanted that
Yeah,
included
I
in
don't know
there.
how important it is because
Oh,
I
okay.
was shocked that
They
I
can
think
show the
you
number
can
of
name your
zones, you want
zones
the list of
anything.
what they
Yeah, I
are.
want the list
Oh.
too. She listed
Is-
them all.
What do you need?
I feel like you can name your zones almost anything because it felt like they all had, I was like, well, how come they don't have some of the same zones as this town or?
Yeah, I think so.
I was like,
I just think it'd be
There's
interesting
so
for
many
people to
different
see so they
names.
understand that it's
I
really
expected
per
to see
town.
more of
Yeah.
a general. than
Yeah.
I did, a general
Yeah.
list or repeating patterns.
So here's the map showing development stats, around major roads and ponds and lakes, Goodwin's Mills area. It shows nice little, like the dots are where our town. Let me get this a little bigger for you.
Yeah.
So the dots are where basically the development is in our town. That's basically it. Isn't that kind of neat? I mean, whoops. So you can see there's Wadley Pond up here, the development there. And then down next to the left is Swan and Kennybunk, right below that. Buggernut's all the way to the left. And as you scroll up, and I think we did ask her to kind of put road names on here, but that didn't happen here yet. But you can kind of guess where everything else is as you look at the towns nearby.
You need to
Yeah.
put that
So
overlay
there's
of
our boundaries,
conservation
abutting
area on there.
towns, undeveloped land is all the
Big chunk.
green. So
Wait,
Kinda-
is that right?
kind of interesting though.
Hmm.
It says on land use on page 50, it says there are many non-conforming lots in Lyman. This is non-conforming lots are concentrated on Old North Berwick Road and Coxall Road. What about Shoreland? Shoreland's got all kinds of non-conforming.
So I would put that in there, Don. I would put a little nit there that we would like that. So Shoreland has, that is true. There's
I
tons
think
of
there-
non-conforming.
I think, I just think that that's
That's an overlay.
expected
No, that's
thing
actually
of
something.
shoreline. I mean, there's just not,
Yeah.
Shoreline,
Actually, Shoreland is a separate zone,
it is.
but she didn't list that either, did she? Did she list
I
that?
didn't
thought
see
she
that.
I don't
listed-
think she did.
So then land use, she's talking about high risk of flood, steep slopes, water bodies, and conserved land. And they're all done in different colors on the map here, which is also a nice thing to have. Physical constraints limit development in parts of Lyman. However, much of the southern, central, and eastern parts of Lyman are readily available for development.
Yeah, well, maybe.
Key takeaways are predominantly residential. Development is concentrated around the ponds and lakes around major roads and in the Goodwin's Mills area and commercial residential zones. Physical constraints are wetlands and steep slopes make it development difficult. So again, what distribution of land uses will best serve our town over the next 20 years, financially, recreationally, environmentally, quality of life?
Holy cow.
Yep, lots of questions. So next steps are, they sent the data files and graphics, including an annotated version of our presentation. They're working on writing the 3 inventory chapters, which is the inventory of our town.
Why do we have to have all that? I mean, no, I'm thinking here, we got a monster being created. Only in the sense that, I mean, I like what Southern Maine's doing. I mean, they're getting a lot of data here, but how much of this data is gonna be incorporated in maybe it'll be appendices, but in the comprehensive plan, we almost have so much data that you can't make sense of it.
Well,
But I think you're thinking of it wrong.
Hmm.
The comprehensive plan and the inventory are usually 2 different things.
Yeah.
Well-
So like, right now, like if you go to Town of Arundel,
Mhm.
their comprehensive plan is 1 volume.
mhm.
But then
Data is a
this data
Is
is a
volume two.
separate volume,
Appendices.
it's the
Appendices.
inventory of that comprehensive.
But it's so showing, it's the data to show it's to showing how they got their results.
Oh, exactly. That's your backup data to show,
Correct.
and,
Yeah.
your chapter and verse to say, when people say, well, your schools can't hold, and we said it
here it
tonight,
is.
well, the data is showing that our schools
Are holding.
are holding.
Right.
And everybody asks, well, where did everybody get that data that they've been screaming and yelling?
Right.
It's an emotional thing.
It's emotional, it's not data. and
So when
facts.
you have this and you go, well, here it is.
Exactly.
Well, they've created a lot of work for themselves. I've noticed. I mean, I'm just saying, we can't do the work. We cannot do
No.
the work. I'm not even suggesting that. I'm just saying that this thing is becoming a monster. And I don't know.
Well, isn't this whole subject, a monster in itself
Yes.
when you're talking about people's land, their farms and
I
everything
agree with
else?
Yes.
So, more information is important and having some as opposed to, well, it's my opinion.
I
Or,
know. I'm in agreement with you. It
Yeah.
just looks like we're gonna be dependent on them, and then we're gonna get a lot of data. But in my mind, the comprehensive plan should be as simple as possible, if that is possible.
Well,
You know
I
what
think
I'm
it will
saying?
be, but I think what you're running into again is you're gonna have people of varying degrees of thoughts on what they want and what they want to see in this town and the struggle the whole state is in for housing. So I think like it says here, this is, I think, a good wrap up here. It says, our committee is to delve into the specific future that Lyman desires and how that relates to the data. And I think that's something we have to make it very clear. Data, people. I love your opinion, but what's the data showing you? Where are there opportunities? What threatens Lyman's desired future? And what policies or programs could help Lyman get the future it wants? It needs. It's not a matter of even, it's not even just a want. It's like there's going to be things we need. There's going to be infrastructure we need down the road. To stay status quo for another 50 years isn't going to fly.
No.
But how do we get to the next, like it says, 20 years even, so that the town doesn't implode? And there is a way that I can gain a tax base.
Well, I
that-
think everyone's
doesn't
looking
have.
for managed growth. You're gonna have some growth because of the location of the town. The town is convenient to major population centers, and it's rural, people like that. So,
Mhm.
but there's gonna be growth. So the question is, how do you manage growth and give people the opportunity without being so restrictive? On the other hand, you don't wanna be so loose that anybody does anything. So, I mean, I don't know, it's a balancing act, somewhere in the middle of that probably.
And I think, and we're gonna get there. And we're gonna get there. It's like we'll go in the end. Look at that. We're done.
I still don't understand where anybody does anything, because we still have checks and balances. I
Right.
mean,
Well, that's in the zoning primarily, I would think, isn't it?
Pretty much.
I mean, that's the bottom, I mean, rubber meets the road on zoning. The comprehensive plan, I think, is a good planning document. It shows that people are, some organization, somebody has looked at the overall picture and given us as much information as possible. But then where the application is the zoning, because the zoning tells you what you can do in which area and what are the requirements. And that's the important, I mean, but it has to be based on something.
Sure.
So, I mean,
And
we need both of these.
That's what
right?
all that data is. And simple, I agree with you. Simple is better. And I have the comprehensive plan that's in place now. And I've read this and I like the format. I don't know if we're going this way again, but if you look at this, a lot of the stuff we're talking about, what you just said, review zoning ordinances and zoning maps to
Right.
ensure broad land use goals are being achieved and make changes to those boundaries or land requirements that would be in the long-term best interest of the town. I mean, a lot of this is, we're still talking the same thing, but then what do you do with this document?
And the problem is, if you look on the side there, the right side, you'll see.
Who's responsible?
The same cast of characters are responsible, and unfortunately, usually those characters have other obligations.
Yep.
So bottom line is, a comprehensive plan, once it's submitted, really doesn't get a lot of review.
But
I'm not saying
now-
it should.
Yeah, but
But-
don't forget, we have a different form of government.
Yes,
Well, that's true too.
that's true.
And you have to remember now too, so when ORC goes to look at things, you now have maps showing flooding zones, you now have maps showing
Yes.
drop-offs, you now have maps showing,
Well,
protected things. So there's, right there, you have so much data to facilitate that. You'd be like, shit, we don't know what to do. Oh, sorry. Shit, we don't know what to do over here, because you'd have to do a study to know it's there. Well, now you have these
No,
studies
you
to
got a lot
show.
of data, that's true.
but the idea, I think, is that comprehensive plan, it's supposed to be kind of high above.
Yeah.
But, the desires of our townspeople may not change, but the data changes.
Right.
And sometimes that forces the changes, something as simple as
Wow.
elderly. It says right in our comprehensive plan now that, hey, y'all need to make sure that you're taking care of your elderly. Well,
We have,
we're not.
nope.
we haven't since the beginning of this document.
Mhm.
So now the data shows us the rubber is meeting the road.
Yep.
And it's time to
Yep.
do
Yep.
something
We
about
can't
your
put
road
it off
folks.
anymore.
Yep.
So I think that, everybody says, yeah, we want to do that. But now we have data that says we have to do it. So that's, the format doesn't matter. It doesn't, who cares about the format, right? Who cares if it's a voluminous document or a little document? Nobody cares. As long as it's what the townspeople want and we have the facts and the data to prove that we have to do it.
Yes, and it's not, yes, it's the facts and data. That's what it's all about, baby.
And I think just like you said, Michelle, these last three questions are the big questions.
Yep.
Where are the opportunities? Because the data is showing us where the opportunities are
Mhm.
and what threatens Lyman's desired future. Like even when she talked about just our soil in our town
Mhm.
and how poor it was.
Yep.
Well, that does drive some of the decisions that maybe can be made around land use or what's conserved or what's used for this or
Right.
what's used for that, or, where the opportunities even are for, different things and,
Yep.
and so forth. So.
And now we have the map showing all that stuff, which is
Right,
great.
so now we have that information, or I think about, I never knew there were so many non-conforming lots. Well, maybe that's a thought process of, well, if a percentage of an area has a lot of non-conforming lots, well, maybe you really look at the lot size of that area. If 60% of the area is already non-conforming, so like, those are things that's good data to think about when you're thinking about, well, where can we change things up a bit? It's already changed without us making a change. They're non-conforming.
Right.
You can build on them, So, just those little things. So I just think these are the three big questions.
What's all this other stuff?
So this is stuff one of them I just wanted to hit real quick because I think some of you weren't here, which was an interesting one,
Oh,
was the
the
transfer of
transfer
development rights. We talked about how, that was a fascinating talk with her. Kim helped remind me, but it was basically a farmer can take his land
Yeah.
and transfer it to a developer, but it has to stay a farm forever. It has to stay conserved. How was it though? It
No,
goes,
so a farmer can sell his quote rights to
Correct.
develop his land. It's just a money exchange.
Yep.
Meaning the farmer can't develop it like into a development. He sells his rights, but the farmer still owns it, the farmer still works it, it's still his land. So the farmer maybe gains funds that maybe they were looking for to be able to maintain and keep the farm. So instead of having to sell it off, they're now able to keep it. The developer now gains the rights to development to maybe develop somewhere else in town.
Oh,
Because
And
they bought the
utilize
development
the density and things like
Right.
that.
And the town benefits some way, and I
It's
didn't
all in
quite
here.
get that piece. The
Yeah.
town benefits, like they get money.
Yep.
That they can utilize to do conservation, like maybe buy conservation land or do
So-
something like it's a three-part system and everybody kind of benefits because like you said, like the density, like it could be elderly housing that the builder maybe couldn't have afforded to do without that
Density bonus.
density
Yes.
bond, but now they
Density
bought them
bonus.
from the farmer's rights. And
Oh,
now
I
they
see.
have them, so now they can
Right.
afford to
Oh, man.
build a elderly housing complex.
right, so there's two things she
So
gave
there's
us,
like-
is this sheet, which is like a cheat sheet, or crib sheet, shall we say, and then the APA, the transferable development TDR. This is an entire, it's 51 pages. It's a whole thing about how that works. And so we're not going over that tonight because,
haven't
good
read
Lord. I haven't had
Did
time
she
to go
say
over any of
Berwick
this.
is one of the towns really looking at that now?
Yep. And then she gave us a New Hampshire housing density, multi-density zoning, and a Southampton proposal to revise the transfer of development rights again program, town of Southampton. She gave us this printout, which is 36 pages. That's stuff for another day for us to go over. Again, she did all the spreadsheets, which I did, print out. There's a listing of all cemetery stuff. It's just the data in spreadsheet form. This is this is the cemetery list everybody was talking about. So there's a list in here of people that are buried in certain cemeteries, the historical figures. She put everything in like spreadsheet form as well. So it's all on here. So you can print them out differently, like I said, whoops. So this is just everything she sent us in Excel form. That's also
Wow.
inside of that's what all of that is, guys, just in case you didn't open them. Dawn has a printout. I did go through and print them out into
I'm giving
PDF
it back
format.
to you. I assume you want it back.
So this one, but there is some stuff that like this was here. That wasn't here.
Pretty
This shows timber harvest information as well as valuations, which was not in our report that we looked at, which I thought this was fascinating to me. So I didn't know if anyone looked at this. Huh?
It doesn't add, but that's just, okay, the whole of York County is 520 million.
Yes. So this was just municipal valuation and return statistical summary that we had.
Well, we had 100%.
No, not anymore. We're
I
not.
thought you said, that's what you showed.
It did there, but we're not now.
Okay.
That's the problem. We're not 100%. So this is 2022 data.
Oh, okay.
We're below that and we're dropping again. So this is our timber harvest. And again, this is up to the year 2021. So this is Lyman. So and then drinking water, again, this is where, again, we have a sheet, which you can see as well. So it's easier to pull them a little easier. Water bodies. So again, everything's just listed in a different way, but it's listed in a spreadsheet for those that just want to simplified, here's the percentages and here's everything listed in one spot. That's all it is. So that's what those spreadsheets were, just so everyone understands. I just wanted you to see them so you weren't like, well, what the heck was all that extra stuff? Each of the spreadsheets had a couple of sheets within them. Looks at the historical figures, sites, and narratives. Just in the spreadsheet form. It's everything that you see, but it's the data backing up the big packet
Wow.
that is in there. So it's more, I don't want to say, don't say. That's all that is. So
I did look up, I think our cemetery committee, they have GPSed all of the grave sites of any veterans.
Mm-hmm.
So there's 70 veteran plots.
maybe that's something, Dawn, we could put
92
in the
plots they're working on.
cemetery sections in there to put a link in there.
But the Find a Grave in Maine has 57 cemeteries in Lyman.
I thought there was like 100 and something. in
I thought
Lyman.
They
there
have
Was there
57
150?
cemeteries in Find a Grave that they have photographed every stone.
So they have everyone.
They have every stone.
wow.
And they've taken a photograph of every
Huh.
stone.
Pretty impressive.
And you can look up by name and you can see the stone
So
and
Well,
maybe
that
we
is
could
different.
have
Yeah,
a
so
link
they have
on our
57
website in the packet to that, just for
cemeteries in
posterity.
Maine, in Lyman that they've done.
That's so cool. So sorry for the long, lengthy, belabored going through this stuff, guys, but I wanted to just have
No,
it
it's
on
good.
have YouTube for
It
people
was an
to hear
excellent
it.
job, thank you.
Yeah.
Again, I think at the next roundtables, I just would like survey 1, survey 2, the 2 compilations from Southern Maine Planning available. And again, maybe we just have to have some key questions that we can pull out of this last packet that she gave us, the key points. Maybe just print those out and hand them to people and say, this is what we're asking, because we don't know. We want to know what you think.
Our next meeting is supposed to be the 18th at 6. It's a Tuesday. Is that a meeting? or is that
That's a round table.
roundtable?
So maybe at the round table, we can pull those out and I can have, and like maybe between now and then, we can have some emails. If everyone wants to look at the key points and key questions. And maybe pick a few that you think are really important so that if anyone does show, we can ask or have them on a piece of paper to hand out. That are like kind of important from both portions of the data we received from Southern Maine Planning and the surveys we've gotten, because, I don't want to burden people with another survey yet. I think we need to
I don't
wait
think so either.
till later. I think maybe creating some kind of brief overview of what we've collected so far with links to hand out
Mhm.
and send out and give people time to absorb it and then down the road do another survey. Once we get through town meeting and hopefully get the money for Southern Maine to keep going. What's everyone else's thoughts?
So our next regular scheduled meeting,
We don't have one scheduled yet. Let me grab my phone real quick.
So roundtables, the 18th and the 22nd are roundtables.
Correct.
All right. So yeah, the 18th is our roundtable at 6 o'clock, and the 22nd is a roundtable
10.
at 10 a.m. on Saturday. I'm out the week after that. I have no openings. Oh, the only night I have opening is the 24th, and that might be a select board meeting. I mean, my next opening is like April 8th.
which is a Tuesday.
Yeah. The next Thursday I have available is the 24th.
Oh.
Which is out there. Oh, the 3rd, sorry, my bad, the 3rd. Anyone available the 3rd?
I'm available every time, pretty much. I bring my book with me, so I can't say I'm not.
Anyone else?
I will be out of town on the 3rd.
I have actually the 1st and the 3rd I'm available.
But you guys, Kim and Tom, 3rd, no?
I'm available as of right now, I am.
I am not sure.
Well, do you want to wait till after the roundtables? And maybe decide after the last
Just send out
roundtable?
a- Yeah.
And then we'll
blast to all of
see
us.
after that, so that, we can see, who because
Yeah.
I know it's spring, times happen, like we're getting sports going for us too, so it's kind of a, and then, of course, spring break is coming,
Oh, right.
and Easter, there's a lot of things happening, folks. So why don't we just get through maybe we can even have a little kind of a chit chat whilst we're at the roundtables. Because I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but beyond getting information from people and letting them know it's out there and the data's out there, what is it that we want to do when we meet?
Well, we stuck dependent on Southern Maine,
Yes,
so that's why this is a multi-year project, frankly.
yes,
So we won't know, we gotta get money, right?
Yeah.
I mean, big picture wise, we have to get money, that doesn't happen until town meeting, correct?
Right.
And then Southern Maine's gotta do their thing, and did they give you an estimate of how long?
My understanding was that we were gonna be working on it, I thought, until they found a way to make it work so that they're working on it and still moving, even though we're not.
we were still gonna
Got the phone
have public meetings to educate the public and things like that.
Yes, that was our job,
Yes.
but they're still working on it
Mhm.
despite us not having all the funds.
Correct.
They're aware that we have the town meeting.
We had a little bit of funding left too, that they can use to keep going until town meeting. And then
Correct.
that's when we hopefully will get the 40,000 to finish up. So what I'm trying to be respectful of is I don't want to waste everyone's time getting together to sit here and,
Well, it's nice seeing you guys, I mean, really,
I'm not feeling loved on, there was no cookies this time, so.
I know, I didn't bring any, I'm still eating on my last
So,
one, but I
um,
can't give them all away.
I want to be respectful of everyone's time. And, we all have busy lives and this is a big project, but we are truly dependent on Southern Maine Planning. So,
Well, I would suggest seeing how these two roundtables go
Okay.
and see what, if that generates any productive activities that we could accomplish. I mean, I love seeing you guys, but I don't love you that much. I mean, it's
He's
one of those
honest.
things.
Yeah.
It's true, it's true.
And if we do
You're
something,
100%.
fine, but we're not,
Yeah.
we don't sit there and go over the same thing over.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense to anybody.
I think just press the brakes on meeting, and maybe we meet where we meet for 15 minutes before the next roundtable when we hold a roundtable in 2 more
Yes.
months. but
Agreed.
not the regular meetings, because at this point, we kind of are at a standstill. It gives us time all to,
We're treading
we
water
have,
right
we
now.
have a lot of information just to read and digest ourselves. I know I do. I don't know if you guys do, but I opened it up and closed it.
Yeah.
No, it's too
I'm like,
much. It's a,
okay,
it's a big
that's
data
later.
dump.
Yeah.
It's a lot of
Um,
data dump.
It's a huge data dump. So I think just for us to wrap our heads around it, ask our questions. I'm more than happy to meet with the Historical Society unless anyone else wants to do it. I'll meet with Steve and say, hey, Steve, this is what we got. He can contact us when he has, because Steve doesn't do email or anything.
Yeah.
So I'll meet with him and give him what we have and welcome whatever he has. So everyone kind of good pausing for a little bit, get to the next roundtables, go from there, and maybe it's,
That's probably more productive than.
Yeah, I mean, I'd rather see, like Dawn said, see what the roundtable brings, if it, you know,
It might give us.
if it just brings a few people, I'd rather explore, like, what are we putting online? You
Yep.
know, I would certainly be willing to explore putting together things into a slideshow. We see what Facebook can do,
yep,
you know, we post it out
sitting at the
there,
transfer
people can sit
station
and watch it.
versus, going
You
up
know,
a
watch
transfer,
the
handing stuff out.
Data. You know, click on a link, look at the data that's coming from Concord, you know, putting some
Yep.
things together that people can view and,
I think that's a really great idea, Kim.
You
It might
know.
get it uploaded to YouTube so it's there.
right,
So they can see it there.
Some type of video too.
right.
Mhm. Some kind of peppy video to reel them in and say, hey, we want you and your info. Yeah, I just think that if we don't have a lot of people show for the roundtable, how are we going to get them here? Because I don't want to hear 2 years later, I didn't know this was going on.
No, I think you have to have meetings, give them the opportunity.
And I think getting people saying, oh, I didn't know, because you're always going to get, well, like I think we learned from the surveys, they're getting all their information from Facebook, which kills me a little inside. But how can we reach the audience, like you said, with maybe it's like post and post and post.
Yep.
Links
Things
and
right on our
videos.
website, you know, like a video or, you know, some sort
Yeah.
of updates and you know,
I would think.
I'd
once-
rather spend our time doing some of that than meeting and.
Yeah.
Once there's a draft comprehensive plan, that might be the time to put together something that could explain it a little bit and that people could take a look at it if they want to. I mean, you cannot force people to look at things.
Correct.
And again, back in my mind always says, I keep saying the same thing over again, but the zoning is what people are going to get interested in, probably. The comprehensive plan, I think, is an excellent thing, but I can't see people yelling and screaming over it. Maybe they will, but because it doesn't
But we're
really
going to,
affect them.
okay, maybe
as
I'm
much.
wrong, but aren't we going to be listing zones in the comprehensive plan?
I don't know.
What's that?
Wouldn't we be listing what, like, no?
I think
They have
the
to get created
activity-
first.
Possibly in the comprehensive plan would be to quote, review zoning, or, there should be an activity to go into that, but it's not, it shouldn't be changing this to this
No.
in the comprehensive plan.
No.
That's more of a zoning issue.
She
My
did
opinion.
talk about doing an activity where she would bring in a great big map.
That's
we
the
weren't-
future land use.
Right,
Yes.
and we weren't going to talk about zones, we were going to talk about, well, what
Uses.
makes this.
Well, this is an
land
idea,
good
so
idea,
she'll
then.
take a
Right.
map and she'll
Right,
come and we'll say, okay, so this area, we have the aquifer here, and,
yeah,
oh, this is where our vernal pools are, and oh, there's a concentration of farmland here. So we kind of look at it, move it all around, and we say, oh, well, even if it's not something that is done right now, even if it comes to pass, let's just pick farmland. And it doesn't fit right now into zoning or changing the zoning to preserve some farmland, then that's why it's called a future land use map. Because even if it doesn't come to pass that it's put into the zoning right away,
It's-
in the future,
That's the
it could
designation
still
of that
happen,
area.
right? We designated this area would be great
But
for
we're nowhere near
farmland
that point
because-
in time yet.
Right,
No, but
Well,
that's her
no.
next thing with
that's
us.
one of our next things, she said, one of
Is
our next big things.
the future land use map.
Yeah, I think that's gonna be, maybe that might generate more interest too, in a sense, because it's one thing to say, well, what do you think? And you get a lot of different opinions, but if you say, here's a map of the town, and it's got areas that Southern Maine might recommend for this type of activity, that might generate some interest.
So maybe we can
Mhm.
have some kind of cool video that shows the map of Lyman and showing like Post-its going up on different sayings of what a zone could be. That's a little tiny video saying, you want to be part of, I don't know.
I don't think
I
we
don't
call it
even
zones.
I don't
think
know.
we should
Yeah.
read the word zones right now.
No.
You know, that's where
No,
people,
I don't even.
no, not until there's a real good outside look at it with some concrete recommendations.
But that
That's-
future land use map is not part of this MOS.
Correct.
Lindsay's done, so this future land use map is going to be part of what
Next,
the next phase of what.
the next 40,000.
Oh,
Yes, exactly,
So
the
it's
40,000.
Well, I mean-
To put it in simple terms.
It's not happening now.
They're not gonna
When the
give
money's approved.
There was a
they're
question
not
we
gonna
did
give you the
have.
finished product till they get
Right.
the money, right?
Exactly.
You don't get the card until you sign the loan, whatever.
There was a question we did have, and I did look at the charter policies, and I thought we talked about this earlier. The comprehensive plan doesn't have to go to the voters, right?
No, it doesn't have to go to a gubernatorial election. It has to be
Okay.
Oh, it
voted
goes,
on.
that's gotta be voted on.
All right,
It's gonna be voted on.
okay, because I
It
tried to, it's not listed anywhere.
Yeah, it does
Okay.
not
Right.
have to go to the gubernatorial.
So we could, our goal could be this year. That's
Oh,
our goal.
absolutely.
So that
I don't think it's gonna
ordinance could be
happen, but-
next
The
year
ordinance is gonna be
during
way
20,
longer.
you know what,
Yeah.
I'm just saying, in the perfect world,
There's no way
a push
that
could
the
be.
ordinance will go to the 26th election. It's not.
No,
It is
No.
not possible.
it'd be lovely if it was, but it's just not.
Or
It
even
is
just
possible
some
that
big
the
ones.
comprehensive plan will go before the 26th election, but it is definitely not possible. Just, it could start,
Yeah,
ordinance review committee could start.
I just wonder how many state things are gonna start pushing.
Well, that's just,
Yeah,
Well,
God, there's so
that's
much
cool.
state stuff coming
Yeah.
right now. I just saw the bills coming from the real estate coming down that, oh my God, it's so.
Yeah.
Holy moly.
Okay, that just makes you feel better, because
Yeah.
I know we were saying 26, but then I was like, wait, then that
No.
pushes you guys to
Yeah, this is
28.
ORC to
Wait,
28.
that could be too late.
Yeah,
Like,
people aren't really happy about it, but what
You
else do we do? You cannot, the way we are right now, we have to keep on this course, because we cannot say, okay, let ORC start doing some stuff. Then we're submitting a comprehensive plan
Mhm.
with an ordinance
that doesn't matter,
that doesn't, they're not congruent to
Yeah.
each other.
right?
So we're stuck, we're completely stuck.
But we're not married to 26. We can.
No.
We
The
can
la-
really
the last
push.
one was approved at a town
As
meeting in 2019.
good as well as we can push,
Yes.
okay.
I don't think.
No,
Then
we'll
if
be-
you guys have some
Approved at a town
push and
meeting?
shove.
So good plan. So I guess just thinking caps on how to still reach the public, because we still seem to be whatever, and roundtables, and
Well,
then
no,
we'll
it's
see what
approved
we're
by
gonna do
vote.
next.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, the
You can
town
only do
meeting
what you can do.
was voted on.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, you know,
At
this
the
is,
town
we're,
meeting.
we're finally at the point where
Yeah,
we can
yeah,
have
yeah.
more stuff to
Before
bring,
the town
bring them in to
meeting.
talk about, which is nice. We're past 2 surveys, we have 2 data dumps. So this is where it's just concentrate, I think, on getting that information out to people before we can get, again, it was great, we got 300 in the last survey. I still want 1,000 on the survey, people.
That'd be great.
I am like, that's my wish.
Yep.
But let's get a couple more roundtables under our belts every couple months, I think. And I don't want to hammer people, and we're all busy. And again, I don't want us all tied to, we're going to do our best. But if we're coming every time and no one's showing, like you said, you
That's
can
a
divorce.
message too.
So,
So,
all right.
keep it good.
So I will entertain a motion
I make much we adjourn.
in a second.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor? All right, people, thank you so much.
Good night, all.
Good night,
Good night.
Dave.
Night, Mr. Box.